Hello everyone, welcome back to another Warhammer painting tutorial. In today's video, I am going to be doing another custom chapter for the Space Marines. Now this chapter is known as the Rulantic chapter, a chapter that was founded by Magnus the Red before the Horus Heresy. And when the Horus Heresy had begun and Magnus had turned to the forces of chaos, a single Space Marine had taken Geneseed and took refuge on one of the water worlds neighboring the Eye of Terra. And this chapter was then born. So go ahead and grab your paints and your brushes and let's get started. Alright, it is time to start basing the model. Now because these guys come from the bottom of the ocean, they need to be quite dark. So the first color you will need is either a Batten Black or a Delta Creative color bought from the store. Either will work. Now that the model is based in black, it is time to move on to the parts that are going to be blue. And the base color you will need is Cantor Blue, and you will need your small base brush. Now before applying this, make sure you do water it down a little bit so that it doesn't streak all over the model. Now you're going to apply this on all of the armor, the helmets, and then you're going to put it on this back plate here, shoulder plate, arms, legs, but make sure you don't get any on the cloak or these ribbons on the side. With that base coat of Cantor Blue now dried, it is time to add another base coat to the model. And the color you will need is Nagaroth Night. And you will need your small base brush again. Be sure to water your paint down just a little so that the consistency is nice and runs smoothly. And for this color, you are going to go over all of the cloak and the ribbons on the model. With that base coat of Nagaroth Night now completed, it is time to move on to some dry brushing. And the color you will need is Sotek Green, and you will need your large dry brush. Now, unlike traditional dry brushing, this one is going to be at a bit of a wave pattern. So you're going to get a little bit on your brush like so. Work it in amongst all the bristles until you have very little paint on the brush. It should look like something like this, okay? Now, but for this model, it's not going to try to catch all the raised edges. No, you want to pick a direction in which the sun is coming through the ocean and is hitting the model. And it doesn't really matter if you get it on the purple or not. It'll give it the same nice effect. So you're going to pick a direction, and that's the way the sun is going to start beaming down the model. And make sure when you do this, you don't have to be neat with it. Just make sure all your lines face the direction you're going. With that dry brush of Sotek Green now dried, you can see that it's given it a nice disfigured wavy pattern. Now it is time to do that same thing, but this time with the color Thousand Suns Blue. You'll need the same dry brush. You're going to do the same thing as last time, getting as little bit on your brush as possible until it looks something like this. Okay, but for this step, you're going to make the paint a little less abundant. So you're going to go in the same direction that you were doing with the Sotek Green, and just doing it with the Thousand Sun Blue. Just making it, just putting it in less spaces. With that dry brush of Thousand Suns Blue now done, the blue armor is on hold for a minute, because now we need to dry brush the cloak. And the color you will need is Screamer Pink, if I can get my finger out of the way. And you will need your large base brush again. Get as little bit of this on your brush as possible until it looks something like that. Now you're going to go to your cloak and you're going to do the exact same thing as last time. And you're going to pick a direction. And then you are going to just lazily dry brush Screamer Pink all over the place. Now do the exact same thing with Pink Horror. Get some on your dry brush. Load it up on there. Make sure you have as little as possible until it looks something like this. But this time, leave it more towards the bottom and on most of the raised edges. With that dry brush of pink horror, we can now put the cloak on hold as well. Now it's time to move on to the parts that are metal, and the color you will need is lead belcher. And you will need your medium detail brush. And you're going to go over the chest plate, and then you're going to do the sword, and then on the back, go ahead and do the little skull. And then you want to do any of the little trinkets that he's holding, along with the chain, the cross, the hourglass, and this little pouch right here on the side. With that base coat of lead belcher now dried, it is time to add a shade, and the color you will need is Newland oil, and you will need your small shade brush. And for this application, you're not going to go over the whole model, you're just going to go over all the silver parts that you've just completed. With that shade of Newland oil now dried, it is time to combine all of the colors. And we're going to give it this ocean, deep dwelling look. And the color you will need is Dark Enough Nightshade. And you will need your large shade brush. Now the parts you're going to apply this to is basically the entire model. And you'll see that it will pull all of the details together. With that shade of Dark Enough Nightshade now dried, you can see that it's pulled together a lot of the detail and really given it this dark, dwelling ocean creature look. Now it's time to move on to the eyes, and the color you will need is Flash Gets Yellow, and you will need your very fine detail brush, and you are just going to lightly tap into the eyes. With that minor layer for the eyes of Flash Gets Yellow dried, we're going to move on to a step that is optional. If you like how the model is right now, then you are pretty much almost good to go. But this is a step for if you want to add like some vegetation to the model from being in the dark depths of the ocean. And the color you will need is Beal Tan Green. And you will need your large shade brush. And you're going to take this. You're going to go over some of the silver areas, and you're going to select areas that you want to look like they've been overgrown or have algae growing on them from long times underwater. So I'm going to go there. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the base layout for our Rulantic Space Marine chapter. If you wish to see other custom designs on Space Marines or other models from different armies, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Sean Doomscythe. Enjoy!